children, etc., are eligible to get vaccinated against COVID. So with respect, are there a lot of reasons that you absolutely cannot or should not get COVID? No, okay? The overwhelming majority of people are eligible to get their vaccines. So if you have grandchildren, great nieces, loved ones with youngsters, remind them that their children can and, in my opinion, should get vaccinated, especially if they have immunosuppression or a suppressed kind of response to infections. And what vaccines do we have that are available by age? So as you see here, under 6 months, no children should get vaccines. All of us, I'm assuming most of us in here are over 18. Yeah, maybe not. Mm-hmm. So there are four options. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and Novavax. For your children up to 17 years old, the two that are available are Pfizer and Moderna. The vast majority of persons, adults, all of us, are eligible for Pfizer and Moderna. And to be honest with you, a lot of people have no clue what Novavax is, so that became available for us in the United States within the past couple months. So what is the Novavax vaccine? Okay, it's available for, we're not talking about boosters yet, for primary series in the US for adults. And there were a lot of people when Moderna and Pfizer came out said, I'm kind of wary about the messenger RNA. This is kind of new, etc. For those people, this is a great option for them because it uses a protein unit, kind of very similar to the hepatitis B vaccine, which I'll be honest with you, it's recommended for all adults now. So a lot of us have gotten that. So that is available if you know someone who hasn't gotten vaccinated and they don't want the messenger RNA vaccine. So you all know the answer to this, but I always have to remind people, why is it important to get vaccinated against COVID, period, okay? And big picture, it saves human lives, it saves human suffering, it saves hospitalizations. I can tell you, and I'm sure you all can tell me, story after story after story of people who you know who have died with COVID, people who you know who have been affected by COVID, lives that have been changed. So the vaccines, this is about saving lives. And a few days ago, the CDC released that we have the lowest life expectancy in the United States since 1996 because of COVID. The lowest life expectancy since 1996, and this is due to COVID. So when we're talking about saving lives, so what this is looking at the life expectancy in 2019 compared to the life expectancy in 2020. And I just want you to see the change in years. And I want you to see the racial and ethnic differences as well. So if you are a black man, life expectancy from 2019 to 2020 decreased the most of all populations, 3 years, okay? If you are a Hispanic man, 2.5 years. And it's affecting everyone, white persons, almost a year. So, we see these racial and ethnic differences, okay? But we have lives lost of all of us, okay? And those of us in here who have been vaccinated, I really like to show this slide. So this is looking at rates of death, and we're looking at 6 months and older. So those of us who have gotten at least our primary series, we're all in blue, okay? Those who have been unvaccinated are in black, okay? So you see the difference. And take a look in this orange box. Those of us who have not been vaccinated, there is a 5-time increased risk of death, okay? So I hear a lot of people, including some of my family members and some of my patients who are just like, I don't know about these vaccines, I want some time to learn a little bit more about them, but time can mean life, okay? So what I ask them is, are you willing and okay with taking that risk, a 5 times risk of death if you contract COVID? And sometimes that helps people to kind of, to think about it a bit differently. Okay, so up to boosters. Why is it important to get boosters? So I have loved ones, including, close family members who are just like, I've gotten 4 or 5 of them, I'm tired, I'm done, I don't want any more. Are we tired of getting vaccines and getting boosters? Yeah, maybe. But am I willing to take that risk of contracting COVID? I'm not willing to take that risk because I don't want to take this risk for my patients as well, okay? So why is it important? It is important because you want to keep your immunity at the highest level possible at all times. So when we get vaccinated, I wasn't eligible for a booster until the updated booster. First in line, was ready for it, couldn't wait to get it. Because I knew that my immunity had waned over time and I want to keep my immunity high. So this is the reason for all of us to consider heavily, strongly, I can guarantee you that your oncologists and hematologists agree with me that you should get vaccinated to kind of restore that immunity that we're all going to lose. So, with respects to, well, what the heck is the difference? We've gotten, some people have gotten 5 already. What is this one going to do? And who should get it? Like, should everyone get it? So the difference with this updated booster is it's a bivalent booster, okay? So everyone knows that COVID has changed significantly. We had Alpha, we had Delta, now we're in Omicron. We have a million different Omicron variants. But the great thing about the bivalent is it offers you protection against more than one strain. You're getting some of the original strain, plus the currently circulating BA4 and BA5 subvariants. Again, we want to be up to date on the virus that is currently circulating. And this is to just show you, like, over time how this has changed. And this is from July until last week. So what I want you to focus on is the kind of dark green and the blue. So just think in a few months, take a look at the dark blue, the BA4. It has increased over time. None of what's circulating right now is honestly the original variant. Yeah, so we're like long gone from that. So when you go and get your updated bivalent booster, it is protecting you against all that green, the BA5, plus it's giving you protection against the BA4-6, plus a little bit of protection of what was going on before. So this is why it's important, because all of this is changing so regularly and pretty significantly. And this is something else with COVID boosters. Gotta watch the news, really have to pay attention because things change quickly. So literally 3 days ago, the CDC updated the COVID-19 vaccine saying that children from 5 to 11, can receive the updated bivalent booster. So to kind of keep things nice and simple, if you are 5 years old and older, and you have already received your original series, if it's been 2 months, you can go ahead and get your bivalent booster, okay? So if it was, let's say, August 15th or earlier when you got your last booster, head on over to CVS or Walgreens, since they're paying for a lot of this, to get your vaccine. Yeah, and also, vaccines, like, I'll be honest with you, in my infectious diseases clinic, we don't have these bivalent ones available, but I tell my patients, go to CVS, go to Publix, go to Walmart, go to Walgreens, go to the health department. So you don't have to have insurance, you don't have to have a doctor to get these vaccines, they are free. Okay. So 2 months after your last booster, so do that calculation. And if you haven't gotten it, go ahead and go get it. And, if there's a CDC booster tool, but to be honest with you, you can take a look at this tool if this may help other family members. But with respect to the bivalent booster, if it's been 2 months, you're due. Go ahead and get it. Okay. So some of my patients and family members say, well, hey, this is a new vaccine or a new updated vaccine. What should I expect when I go to get it? You should expect the same thing that happened with your prior vaccines. Okay. I got mine a couple weeks ago. My arm was sore for a day. It was fine. So some of the things that you can have include pain at the site, low-grade temperature, maybe some swelling at the site. Some people have chills. You may have a headache. You may have muscle aches. And what I tell people is, I would rather have some of these symptoms than COVID, okay? Because I have seen so much death and suffering and strain on families and lost jobs. Is it worth it for me to feel achy for a day or two? It's worth it for me, and I hope it's worth it for most of you. And what can you do before? You can hydrate yourself. You can put a cool washcloth on your arm. You can drink plenty of fluids. If your doctor says it's okay, you can take Tylenol or ibuprofen. And what I tell people too is, if you know it's going to make you feel achy, if you work Monday through Friday, maybe get it on Friday, spend some time in bed over the weekend, and then get up and move on with Monday. Yeah. Okay, children. Okay. We love our children. People are really testy about these sweet children and grandbabies, and of course want to make sure that vaccines are safe. So are vaccines safe for children with, who are up for COVID vaccine and boosters? The answer is a resounding yes, and yes. So, 6 months or older, okay, what you're protecting your child or your grandchild or your niece or your nephew against is hospitalizations. You can protect them against death, etc. And I hear a lot of, and I completely understand where people are coming from, which is, my kid is healthy. My kid has no medical problems, But what I think about is, it's rare for children to have complications. But what if that's your grandchild who has a complication, or your child, or your niece? Okay. And what it also does is, that will, I'm assuming, give you a bit of relief when you send your child, put them on the bus, drop them off at school, to say, yes, I've given you that extra, kind of pump with respects to protection. And a little bit less worry, and maybe a little bit more play for these, sweet little nuggets that I like to call them. Okay. So how about in pregnancy? Okay. So people love to protect the children that are outside of their body. But we have a lot of questions and concerns when the baby is in there. Is it safe to get vaccines, and is it safe to get boosters in pregnancy? And the answer is, again, a resounding yes, and yes. And the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, so your OBGYNs, have said very, very early on, yes, it is safe for you to get these vaccines, and important. Because what people don't realize as well is, pregnancy itself does kind of suppress your immune system. Like, you're at increased risk of complications by being pregnant. And the people who get really sick with COVID during pregnancy are those who have not gotten vaccinated. And remember, children up to 6 months cannot get vaccines, but what can they get? They can get those antibodies from mom if she is breastfeeding. So, I know several of my colleagues who are OBGYNs. They were pregnant, got their vaccines, got their boosters, they're breastfeeding now, and they have that little bit of comfort knowing that the antibodies that they have produced are going to their baby. So when they drop their baby off at daycare, they offer that, that degree of protection. And how about first trimester? Get your vaccine. Third trimester, get your vaccine. Okay, and I know this is near and dear to many of your hearts. What about COVID vaccines and boosters for those who may have suppressed immune systems, okay, like cancer, like diabetes? And should you receive the updated COVID-19 booster if you have a suppressed immune system? The answer is a resounding yes. And if you don't want to listen to the CDC, because a lot of people don't trust the CDC, then listen to your oncology and hematology networks. So the National Comprehensive Cancer Network, what do they say right here in the middle? Don't wait to get your COVID-19 vaccines and boosters. Don't wait. And why? So people who are receiving treatment for cancer, lymphoma, leukemia, you have a suppressed immune system. And to be honest with you, the people who are contracting COVID and becoming really sick with COVID are those with suppressed immune systems. So what we want to do is make sure that you are as protected as you can possibly be. And if someone asks you, like, hey, we know that you may have a suppressed immune system, but how do I know if I have a suppressed immune system? So what you can tell your loved ones and your friends is if they're receiving any treatment for tumors or blood cancer, especially in the past year, if they've received an organ transplant, if they have an immunocompromising condition, including HIV, if they take high-dose steroids, if they have uncontrolled diabetes, if they have kidney disease, a lot of these are immunosuppressing conditions. Doesn't matter. So what the NCCN says is ideally they would favor their patients to receive Pfizer and Moderna, and I'm certain that the vast majority of you in here, that's the vaccine that you've received. And regarding boosters, the bivalent boosters are available, so to get those. And feel free to visit these websites. I'm not great on social media, but I am on Instagram and I follow the CDC to get some of these updates, and you can also go to NCCN to get updates as well. So what else can you do to prevent COVID in yourself and to decrease the likelihood in others? Because there's other things that you can do and that you can take that a lot of people aren't fully aware of. So let's start with the everyone, okay? You all know this, have heard this for 3 years. Get vaccinated, get boosted. Be in an area that has a lot of ventilation. What I love about this room is I can feel the air flowing and look at these high ceilings, okay? You want to hang out with your family and you're worried, go to a barbecue, be outside, okay? So the more air circulating, the safest. Wear a mask, okay? Stay home when you're sick. But people aren't really kind of up to date with respects to Evusheld, okay? I just want to ask you all, can y'all raise your hand if you've ever heard of Evusheld or if you're receiving Evusheld? Okay, fabulous, okay? So, what is Evusheld? So it's a monoclonal antibody. So essentially, it's a medication that you can receive through injection that's already an antibody that goes into your body that can offer additional protection, okay? So there are 2 different medicines in it, and again, these are shots, kind of typically they go in the hip, and they attack the virus. So your body makes your own kind of antibodies. This is an antibody that can go into you with via an injection. How is it received? It's received through 2 separate injections, and you speak to your doctor to see if you are eligible for it, and you will receive that as prevention every 6 months, or at least every 6 months until it doesn't work anymore. So early on, you probably heard about a lot of other monoclonal antibodies that we're not using anymore because the current variants are not responsive. Okay, and even with Evusheld, the FDA, this was actually last week, said, hey, we can use Evusheld right now, but we want everyone to know that if we continue to have these additional variants, this may not work. But as of right now, it does, okay? So if you haven't, please speak to your doctor to see if you're eligible to receive this. So this is something else that's kind of near and dear to my heart, is when people think about COVID illness, what I find is people think, okay, I got it and I had no symptoms. I got it and I was a little bit sick. Unfortunately, some people are sick enough to go into the hospital, and unfortunately, some people die. But something that we're not talking enough about, that I'm seeing a lot in my clinic and in practice, is long COVID. How many people have heard about long COVID or long haulers or post-acute COVID syndrome? So this is the thing. Long COVID, this is symptoms that people develop if they have contracted the virus. And it can be, look at all of the symptoms that you can have from long COVID. In this study, 80% had at least one symptom that can last for months, and I have some people years later that have fatigue, headaches, they can't concentrate, brain fog, shortness of breath, etc. Taking the vaccines decreases your likelihood of contracting COVID, decreases your likelihood of contracting long COVID. So I also ran to get my vaccine because I don't want to be short of breath long term. I don't want to have difficulty concentrating. So think about long COVID as well. So I'm going to make this personal. Why is this so important to me? It's not just because I'm a physician. It's because I am a daughter. I am a granddaughter. I was raised in a community in South Alabama. Family is important to me. I was raised by a single mother, had tons and tons of aunties and uncles. So fighting COVID is personal, and it's personal to me. And I'm sitting at the desk with a lovely lady, Mrs. Higgins here, and right before we talked, she shared with me, and I love what Mrs. Higgins, and she said it was okay for me to talk to you all about this, that she considers herself the poster child of protection, because she has gotten her 3 vaccines, several of her boosters, already got her updated booster, has gotten her flu shot, has gotten 2 Evusheld doses, and she says it's not just for her. She is doing this because she has loved ones in her family who haven't gotten vaccinated yet, and she wants to help protect them as well. So this is about, this is about family. Okay? So I don't just do this because I'm a doctor and just do this because I'm a researcher. I want to keep these human beings, safe. Right there in the middle is the matriarch of our family, my grandmother. Her and my grandfather have been married over 60 years. I remember both of them being in the hospital with COVID, and us in our small town peeking through the windows at them with COVID, and we didn't know if they were going to survive. Fortunately, they did. So that was personal. And also, is it important to me as a physician? Absolutely. At Emory Midtown Hospital, most of the patients that I take care of look just like me. A lot of the nurses look just like me. So it's important for me to protect my community as well. So this is me holding the hand of a nurse tech, and the RN is giving her a vaccine. So I've held people's hands literally and figuratively, and I hope that you all have done that as well to get us through this. This is about community. All of us go to church, most of us go to church on Sundays. We go to cookouts, we hang out with loved ones, we care for our community, so getting vaccinated is about, community as well. And at the end of the day, this is about human lives lost. In the United States, we have lost over 1 million human beings, aunts and uncles, black, white, children, Hispanics. But at the end of the day, what this is about is saving lives. So thank you all for your attention. I'm happy to take questions, and I really hope that you will give COVID your best shot. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wiley.
Mutually exclusive. Okay? You can go and get your booster one day and go and get Evusheld the next. Getting Evusheld does not mean that you cannot get your booster. It's completely separate. With respects to can you get your flu shot and your COVID shot the same day, and if you want, same arm, okay? And especially, like I have patients who have transportation issues. I don't want to tell anyone, oh, go get your flu shot, and I have a sweet little lady that has to take 5 buses to get to CVS, then go back later. So, fine to get them both at the same time. And Evusheld, and remember, Evusheld is for prevention. If anything, getting both of them, and you do not have to separate based on time.
Dr. Wiley, on behalf of those of us who are sick of needles, do you predict in the foreseeable future that COVID is going to be a yearly vaccine similar to the flu? And will there be a combination vaccine so we don't have to get so many?
Excellent question. So, do I think that we are going to have seasonal COVID vaccines? Yes. Okay. All right. Again, do I have all the answers? No. But it's highly likely that yes, we're going to have seasonal COVID vaccines. Are drug companies working on trying to get kind of a flu and a COVID together? Yes. The tough part about it is the flu changes very frequently as well. COVID is changing, so being able to kind of have everything together at the same time, to put the vaccines out at the same time, is not going to be easy, but yes, believe me, drug companies are working on that.
Thank you, Dr. Wiley. And everyone, please join me in thanking Dr. Wiley for a fantastic presentation. And she will be here to take questions if you'd like to speak with her privately. Now, I just have a few housekeeping notes before we move forward with our day. Our morning breakout sessions will begin promptly at 11:10. They're listed here on your screen. Our staff and volunteers are at the registration desk if you have any additional questions. And when your morning breakout session ends, please exit to the foyer, grab your meal, and then you come back to this room. And we'll be eating lunch in this room, and we invite you to sit at the tables, which will be organized by disease, so that way you can network with others. I also want to remind you, please, about the conference evaluation. Please take a few moments to fill this out and drop it off before you leave at the end of the day. Your feedback is critically important to keep us aware of the programming that we need to bring you to meet your needs and provide you the most updated information. So we'll see you back here at 12:30 and enjoy your sessions.